34-year-old Michael Lee Williams pleaded guilty to one count of aggravated murder in the death of Jacob Schroyer, sentencing at 11 today, and as you mentioned, life in prison with a minimum of 30 years. Okay, now to the courtroom today. Friends and family packing the courtroom today, many making victim impact statements. Jacob Schroyer, also known as Jacob J, that Portland disc jockey, well loved in his community, also a hairstylist, stabbed by Michael Lee Williams several times in what turned out to be a random attack. This happened in May. 37-year-old Schroyer was returning from a Northwest Safeway when he was attacked by Williams at the Pacific Towers Apartments in Old Town. After the attack, Schroyer called 911, told deputies he had been stabbed. He died several days later. Sentencing for Williams again started at 11 o'clock today. Williams' court-appointed attorneys made the argument to the judge that he was suffering from mental illness and is now on antipsychotic medication. Friends and family of Schroyer making victim impact statements both in the courtroom and back outside. To us, under Oregon law, Williams could have faced the death penalty, but again, Circuit Court Judge Eric Bergstrom today handing Williams a sentence of life in prison with a minimum of 30 years. We'll hear from those victims who were making the victim impact statements today. We also had a camera in the courtroom. We'll bring you all those details today at 4, 5, and 6.